It's Offside with Hawes and Maguire.
It's Offside with Hawes and Maguire. I'm Hawes.
I'm Maguire.
Christ, it's been a long time.
It seems like forever since I've had a drink.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be hours.
Let me check my watch.
Yeah. So Liam was late today because he was at church.
That's right.
Okay? And I thought, Christ,
it's Palm Sunday.
I had no. Is that? Oh, it was because it was Palm Sunday.
Yeah.
So
it's the longest day at church.
So here's the thing.
I'm always the third pew on the right at the back.
Right. Here's what I was thinking: is I thought maybe they were actually, sharing the sacramental wine, and that was why you were showing up. It was I have to admit, I'm a horrible Catholic.
Yeah. I'm not much better. But
I have.
Better.
And it's very much a part of who I am, right? Grew up like the whole thing.
Same.
You know what? It's just I started worshiping this thing on Sunday mornings called Timbits Hockey, right?
Yeah.
You start by I can't go to church because this. I've got doing hockey Sunday mornings, all that stuff. Then next thing you know, okay.
Once the bail starts. Once you start bailing.
Yeah. Once it's no longer your routine.
Yeah.
You're no longer,
For me, it was working at Rideau View.
Right. Well, that happened.
As a kid in the summers, once I got promoted to the back shop, you had Sunday shifts, like the weekend shifts were the biggest shifts.
Yeah.
And I just said, Dad, I got to go to work.
Yeah, you got to go to work. And you know what? And the Lord knows.
That's right.
That you're doing God's
work.
work.
The Lord knows.
You're doing God's work. So, on that topic of God's work.
Yeah.
Okay. And best of luck and all these things. We have this hockey pool that we're doing.
Yep.
The Hosie and Brown. Okay. Which, by the way, I know I often sound like I'm saying Jose Brown.
Yeah.
I guess because I've been down in Arizona so often. I thought he was like a Spanish guy, Jose Brown. But Hosie and Brown, the hockey pool, it's, you know what? I don't want to jinx everything, but it's all but done. I mean, the season's all but done.
Yeah.
And
everybody's down the last 2-3
games.
games.
And it got close. It got within 30 points of each other.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, it appears as though Adel is going to win the hockey pool. Which for this year
fantastic. Now you knew him before, right?
I
met him through you when we went on the trip.
That's right. And Adel worked with my brother 40 years ago.
Right.
At Nortel. Beginning that whole Nortel the 80s and the 90s were magical in Ottawa. People we look at our city now and it is really sad. Yeah. I find it really sad what our city's become because it was so vibrant with entrepreneurialism, with technology. We led the world.
Yeah.
And we let it go. Yeah. So to that end, that's sad. But that's where a lot of guys that I know, these guys became CEOs of companies and chief technology officers in the case of Adel, of major companies.
Yeah.
And he picked this team while we were in Ireland. Do you remember that?
Well, vaguely.
So we're on the bus and he's saying, "Well, I'm going through and I'm picking my team," and I was like, "Okay." And the thing is Adel's he's hyper intelligent. It's just, you know what I mean? And so, and he said, "Oh no, I see what I've done, and I've got this factored in, and this."
Oh, I remember
and he's
him
working,
saying he
was building an algorithm, and it was all this stuff, and I was like, well, didn't the thing take? I mean, it works, folks. It worked. It worked. He did this. It was it was while we were in Ireland. He picked this thing. And he stuck with it, and he built it based on his. And I will say that his son followed a similar route, and his son's in the top 5 too.
Yeah.
Okay. So as a result,
proof's in the pudding.
The proof is in the pudding. So it does work. I mean, he had to build this and figure it out, but it darn well worked. But number 2 is my buddy Jerry.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jerry, he just did it old-fashioned, old school picking and
got hammered.
Well, he could have. I'm not sure if he did. I don't want to spread rumors, okay? But I know that anyway, he he came very close second and had a great run.
Yeah.
And had a couple of early injuries that kind of, and then getting things, the trades and stuff like that are confusing for people. And you know what? I can't make it easier because I don't own the program, right?
No, it's
what I mean.
And I don't make any. I just let it kind of lie as it goes.
I see that. You can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, 24th all year. I think I got up to 22nd. It was the highest I ever was.
Yeah. I was up to 11 at one point, but I finished in 14th. Yeah. So so that being said, Adel, and he's probably going to take his son with him because
perfect.
So Adel is off to Prince Edward Island.
Beautiful.
With Club EG Golf.
So he's a confirmed winner right now.
Well, okay.
It'll take a miracle to catch.
Let's put it this way. I've booked the ticket. It would take a miracle, okay?
Yeah.
But I've booked it because I want to make sure that they can go. And everybody knows that I do my own golf trips, but I do them to Ireland, right? And so I'm partnering with Club EG, who, by the way, get them every travel, play all the different courses in Ottawa. But I partner with them to provide the prize here in Canada.
Right.
And I have friends who went on this trip, and I'm not just doing it blindly. I have not gone on their trip to PEI, but I have friends who went last year, and they had a good time.
Do we know what course they're playing?
Yeah, they're going to play Crowbush. They're going to play Brudenell.
And Dunderave maybe, or as well, or Brudenell, Dunderave kind of a...
They're partners.
Courses,
they're brother courses.
Yeah.
So there's those three for sure. I to be honest with you, because I didn't make the itinerary and I don't know this, I'm just hooking them up type thing.
Yeah.
And I'm counting on the Club EG folks to know what they're doing, which I believe they've done this before. So I'm not concerned. So big hats off to Club EG for hosting the winners of our hockey pool, which at this point, with a week left, not even a week left really, it will be Adel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
And the reason I'm not using last names is because I don't want some crazy stalker out there going to his house.
Yeah.
Because it happens.
Really?
Well, I have my stalker.
No.
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, yeah? Speaking of which you don't care because you like stalkers.
Absolutely.
Okay. You know what I mean?
Let's go.
Yeah. Liam goes, wow, it's not really a stalker. It's more like my buddy. Right?
That's right.
I call him a header.
Yeah, that's right. That's one of the headers. They look like stalkers.
Some of them do. Some of them do. Okay, so you were traveling too.
Yeah, you've been on the road. Holy cow.
I've been around.
We've been out.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you were traveling for hockey.
Yeah.
And I was traveling for golf.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. It was very good.
Yeah.
I'm sure both of us had productive things. Let's move on. While I was gone, so this young fella, the Irish Russian, Ovechkin.
Yeah.
No, he did well.
When I saw that.
He did well.
He did. He got her done.
He did. But you know what? I still think there needs to be an asterisk beside there because of all the overtime goals.
Well, you can't. You can't.
Well, you can.
You could, but they're not going to, nor should they. It's an interesting thought. You'd be in the minority on that. At the end of the day, whether...
That's the first time I'm in the minority.
Well, no, me neither.
Have you been to Barhaven lately?
Yeah, God, try going to Brampton. Joe Malone scored 44 goals in 20 games the first season of the NHL. So let's just say the NHL had been 80 games back then.
Right.
I mean, it just...
Gretzky still would have broke his record.
Yes, because, it's all... there was somebody interviewing Wayne. He did 1,000 interviews, much like Ovi has since right before and right after he passed, and this guy was interviewing Wayne. And actually, no, it was Rick Bowness, of all people. That's who it was. Ottawa Senators' first coach. Rick does some Hockey Night in Canada stuff, and was saying to Wayne about how, how difficult it is to play today compared to Wayne's day and everything. And Rick, of course, played in the 70s, and he's saying that to Wayne. I found that a little bit unusual. And then Wayne, he stood up for himself a little bit and said, well, we had a red line. I never got a chance to play 3-on-3 OT, and I sure would have liked to have had a chance to start every power play in the offensive zone and pick the side that we're taking the draw on.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a statistical analysis just for fun.
Okay.
Really, it's really just to piss off the OV fans who have gone to another level. But
yeah.
And I don't know where it's all going to come out, but I will do something very statistically prorated and sort of a combination of numbers versus errors and whatnot. Because here's one thing, Chris, that's undeniable, that is interchangeable between the eras.
Right.
And that is goals per game.
Yeah.
Okay? Goals per game in the 80s versus the 20s versus the dead puck era versus now, there's a number. There's a finite number. And the number right now for 24-25 is going to come in probably 6.1. Maybe might, because it's just been crazy the last week how many goals.
What?
6.1 combined goals per game.
Per team.
So 6 goals in a game.
In a game. Okay.
In a game. 6 goals in a game is the average.
Right, versus the heyday of
in Gretzky's age was 6.8. So the highest it ever was, which was, I believe, 84-85, was 6.8. Okay? So if you take that 0.7 times now 82 games, so you can see it's another 56, 58 goals, 59, 60 goals. What percentage of points or goals would Ovi get on those? And you could give him X number of more goals had he played in that era. However, then you have to factor in the no red line and the 3-on-3 OT.
And that's
Gretzky
huge.
had 2 overtime goals playing 5-on-5 overtime. Okay?
Right.
He never even played 4-on-4.
Right.
He played 5-on-5. Ovi's got 27 overtime goals.
Yeah.
Regular season overtime goals.
Yeah.
And, the empty net's kind of a wash. Wayne has 56. Ovi's up to like 65.
Yeah, empty net's an empty net. And that
he's got 9 more. At the end of the day, though, why I was saying you can't have an asterisk is because the way the NHL's always run it, no matter, and the NHL's been around since 1917, and this has gone through all the multiple regimes. Who's ever got the highest numbers, it's got the records.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
But that being said, there should be a note. When you go and when I someday go into the Hockey Hall of Fame and see Ovechkin there and Trechak, not Henderson, by the way. Anyways, I'm on your side, right? You know that.
I know you are.
Okay. But I go in there and I see, the highest scorer of all time. Then you see, there really needs to be an explanation that, Wayne Gretzky did it. These were the differences in the rules, and your statistical analysis should be put below that to say what it would have translated into, vice versa. Now, of course, that's only computer modeling. That computer. Okay, but it's only computer modeling to see what it is but it gives people, especially in the future, right, something to actually, yes, I get it. Okay, and you're talking about Joe Malone. And you say, what would have been like, with Joe Malone? You could say, the difference in so many things.
Barely hockey, really, compared to today.
Right.
It's just such a difference. However, it was on a sheet of ice.
Yeah.
You had to skate up and score in the net.
And he had pints after.
And he had pints after, absolutely. His nickname was Phantom Joe. He was the first superstar, really, in the NHL. And he carried over from the previous league, the NHA, National Hockey Association. Cyclone Taylor was out west. Joe Malone was in the east. They were the 2 best players in Canada. And that's just the way it was. But, Ovi missed his whole rookie season, right? The NHL had shut down.
Right.
So he lost the rookie season. They each had 1 lockout. Wayne had the 95 lockout. Ovi had the 2013 lockout.
Yeah.
There's anomalies on both sides.
Yeah.
You can go down the road. The rules, everything else. I'll do analysis and see just for fun, just to show that Wayne, in fact, deserves all the accolades from doing what he did versus his peers when he did it. And Ovi does as well. Listen, Chris, at the end of the day, my own opinion, we can move on if you want, but at the end of the day, Alexander Ovechkin is the greatest goal scorer in NHL history. He's the greatest career goal scorer in NHL history. Wayne still has 92. Wayne still has the combined, including playoffs.
Right. Yeah.
He has a playoff mark of 122 goals. He has a combined mark with 894 and 122. Ovi's still 50, 60 goals behind him in the overall.
And he's not getting there.
I wouldn't think so, but he's got a year left in his contract. Who knows? What if they go through 4 rounds and win the cup and he scores 15, 16 more in the playoffs here? He's in the 70s, 71 or 2. It gets up to the mid-8, whatever. The point is that could he? Yeah. Listen, 2 years ago, I never thought he would have done it.
Well, listen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that he will, because I'm admitting that I was wrong in the calling who was going to be in the East this year. I don't know if you remember. I said the Eastern Final was going to be New York Rangers, Florida Panthers.
Yeah, vaguely. I'd forgotten all about that.
Yeah,
to be honest
no. I thought the New York Rangers were going to be far more productive.
And they have crashed and burned.
Oh, it's been.
They are what they are in the East. Vancouver is in the West, and what that is a dysfunctional dressing room. And when you have a dysfunctional dressing room, even at this level, these multi-millionaires skating around on the ice that have all this talent that should be doing better, just like Vancouver did last year. And just like the Rangers have for the last bunch of years. Yeah. And for them, both these franchises to implode have imploded because of what's going on off the ice. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Well, you look at Trouba, when he got traded to Anaheim in his first few press conferences, he was a captain, for God's sake. Yeah. And they shipped him out. Heart and soul guy, fight the world, absolute beast back in the back end. I'm not saying he's, maybe his game had regressed a little bit, but I just thought that was a shot across the bow, that there's some things going on, and he alluded to it as well. Then you had the old JT Miller, who ironically goes to New York, the old JT Miller and Peterson thing out in Vancouver, which is the tip of the iceberg too. There's other stuff allegedly that I've heard. Who knows? Anyway, digress. But the Rangers, I'd forgotten you called them. But you may still be safe with Florida, because half their roster has been off for a month. So, they literally have been playing with 6 starters.
I think that's a Kachuk thing. Which leads me into, I see what I did there. That was my segue into talking about Ottawa.
Ah, very good.
Yeah, you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, I used that jumping off point.
Yeah.
So this is where years of broadcasting experience. No, it's just, anyway. So the Ottawa Senators.
They're in, baby. Your team. Well, your new team. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't really talk about your old team.
Okay, we'll discuss Boston on another date, another time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever. But
another year.
But I am very happy with the Senators. Of course. And you know what? I always cheer for the Senators, no matter what, right? So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
You know what?
You got to be jacked.
Well, not jacked.
What are your thoughts about playing Toronto?
My thoughts about playing Toronto?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared because I don't want to lose to Toronto. And it's not like the team. I think I like watching the team. Like, I watched that game last night until I fell asleep before the end. But I was watching.
Montreal, Toronto? Probably put you to sleep.
Wow.
That's probably the worst hockey game I've watched this year. And I watch a lot.
Well, let me say, as I said, I fell asleep. You know what?
It was bad.
I can tell you honestly that it was Toronto, Montreal. Of course, who am I going to cheer for? Toronto, right?
You fucker.
No, you know what? Honestly, I didn't really give a shit about who won. I did give a shit about who won the game. I'd like to see Montreal make it. Okay, I really would. So on that side, because the more Canadian teams we have, the more exciting the playoffs are.
For sure.
For us,
even
right?
the Flames now are making a late rally here. I mean, it's crazy. They're still not out of it. So
I'm afraid of Toronto.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm afraid, and the team again. I like the team. They're all great kids.
Are you afraid of them, or are you afraid of losing to them?
I'm afraid of losing to them.
You can't be afraid of them.
No. I'm afraid of losing to them.
You're afraid of losing to them.
And you
Which
know
could
what?
happen.
Well, it could happen.
Obviously.
Well,
sure.
I mean, let's face it.
They're going to win the Atlantic, for God's sake.
They
Forget
have
about last night.
They've got talent.
Yeah.
Coming out their ass. They're like, you know what? Did they work their hardest last night? I don't think so.
No.
Right?
No.
Did they ratchet up the game?
Both teams looked like they came off of
Well, Montreal came out hard first, eh? Like, I don't know if you remember that in the first period, they came out hard. Even in the beginning of the second period, they came out hard.
Territorial play.
Yeah.
But
they just couldn't get things. They couldn't get anything going.
Couldn't get anything
They couldn't
going.
get shots at net.
Couldn't get shots on net.
Yeah.
Certainly had some territorial play, and they I think their second power play, they possessed much like Toronto did later on, almost a full 2 minutes in the offensive zone, but couldn't get anything done. But that was really until Goulet threw a couple hits and then Domi fought him. I mean, it was almost a no-hitter. Not unlike the game the night before.
That was in one shift, eh? That was one shift.
Yeah, and then Domi went after him. But like that Sens game on Friday night against Montreal was a playoff game. The way the Sens played it, and I think, and Montreal just couldn't match it. They just, it was men against boys. It was over 5 minutes in, down 2-0, and Sens just pretty much cruised from there. Yeah. But they were so physical. Yeah. It was such a physical game.
Well,
that's what they got to do against Toronto.
And that's exactly it. They have to, they got to play like their leader.
Yeah.
They got to play like their leader. And you know what? Knock on wood, they will. So let's move on because I don't want to talk about that anymore. Let's we kind of discussed this because now the next step is to discuss, is Montreal actually going to make it?
There's only one team now left that could catch them.
Which is
Columbus.
Columbus.
Yeah, everybody else now got eliminated yesterday.
Okay.
So the Rangers, the Islanders, and Detroit all got eliminated yesterday.
Really? Okay. See, I haven't been up on that, but
so it's
I was just in Columbus.
Were you?
Yeah. So
I like that city.
You know what? It's a nice small city. It's surprisingly.
I mean, I've hardly ever been anywhere.
I mean, it's it's a big city, but it's a small city compared to American size.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have
nice rink. Listen, it would be a disaster with a capital D for Montreal to miss right now. They're up by 5 points with 3 games to go here, and Montreal's got 2, and Columbus has 3. Columbus needs to win all 3 in regulation. Montreal needs to lose against Chicago and Carolina, which is possible.
Right.
It could happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
They lost their last 2 after winning 6 in a row. So it can happen. Montreal aren't world beaters by any means, but the odds are pretty good. It looks like the Habs are going to get in. They are the Cinderella story of the year. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Out of the 32 teams, there's nobody else.
What do you think of the new guy? Well, Demi Moore. I'm calling him Demi Moore. Okay. They've made it.
Well, he looks like he could go to Hollywood.
You know what I mean? An indecent
looks like
proposal.
$1 million.
Eh? Yeah. Well, no.
Indecent proposal with
that's right.
Woody Harrelson.
That's right.
And Robert Redford.
That's right.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
It was a great movie.
Yeah. It's great, man.
That whole thing. I used to do this. It's derivative of an old bad joke, but I used to I loved doing it. I used to say, he offered me $1 million to have sex with my wife, and I said, hey, I have to, but you? It's such an old joke, but I fucking loved it. Yeah. So Demi Moore on the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, he skated yesterday, and obviously will skate again today. And they say allegedly he's going to play.
Well, he's come right from the K.
He's right from the K.
So he's in shape.
Oh yeah, he's a kid. He's still in shape. He's 19 years old. He's literally a kid. Yeah. And he'll probably play. Hopefully he will, and hopefully he'll throw him right up on that first unit and take Slavkovsky off it. I love the kid, but he is really having a hard time finding his way. For every 2 or 3 good shifts he has out there, he has 7 or 8 that he's
So let me ask you this: who are you pulling out of that? You're taking Slavkovsky right out of the line?
No, I was just referring to the power play. In terms of who he'll replace up front, I mean, the likely scenario is Pizzetta, more than likely, or you could, if it was me. Despite that he's been pretty decent on the penalty kill, you're using Suzuki more in the penalty kill. You could sit Armia. You've got some things you can do up front. And the back end, they need to figure out what to do with Savard because he has gone down into that next layer of speed called molasses. And it is so discernible out there.
Is it that he's gone down?
You know what it's like? Remember when you used to bike as a kid? And sometimes the chain used to just come off and you were spinning your wheels going nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he's like skating.
Yeah.
Like, there was the slowest line in NHL history played for the Leafs in the late 70s, okay?
Was I on it?
No, you weren't. You would be faster than these guys right now. It was Jack Valaket, Tiger Williams, and Dan Snowshoes Maloney. They were the slowest line in NHL history. They make Savard look like McDavid right now. And it's that's how slow he is. It's terrible. And I know it's penalty kill. He gets down like the big beach whale, goes down on one knee, takes up all the room because he's 2 gajillion pounds. And he just lies there like this, and pucks just bounce off him. And so he ends up with 20 block shots every game. But his effectiveness, the guy won a cup in Tampa. I don't want to, it's just he's been so freaking effective. But you need to have Jack Guy in the lineup in the playoffs. Get him in the lineup. Demidov,
you know what?
They're going to take out Pizzetta.
But
then
Jack,
you got nobody.
But then you got Jack Guy. He's got to play smart.
He does play smart. He gets. There's so many people misread this guy because they're searching. It's like they're going around trying to get their radar, like you're in the jet fighter and you're trying to lock their radar on. We have to have a whipping boy. We have to have a whipping boy. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? There he is, Jack Guy. Oh, he had that one bad shift. Gas him. Get him off. Get him off. Get him off.
I listen. That's not what I'm saying.
I watch every second of every game. He needs to be in the lineup. This is coming from a hardcore Hab fan. I'm telling you right now, he needs to be in the lineup in the playoffs. And you just we'll see what Demidov does tomorrow night.
Okay.
Whenever people watch this, we'll see what happens tomorrow night. It's going to be exciting. He's taken 5th overall, and everybody already on a redo is saying that how does he not go at least 2nd? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, he should have gone right behind Celebrini.
Well, damn it, you missed that was my opportunity to make that.
I was giving you another segue and I jumped in.
Yeah, you jumped into the segue.
Oh, damn it, I better take a drink, man.
Because I was going to say, speaking of Celebrini, the Calder Trophy.
Oh yeah,
the Calder Trophy.
Are you on social media at all with any of this? Have you followed it?
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. The only thing I see on social media, is it's always like the political bullshit.
Oh,
I don't get to see enough of that stuff that I really enjoy. So I don't, and I'll throw some things out there just because I want to shit disturb.
Yeah.
And then I'll retract and then watch everybody get all whatever.
Nuts,
Okay. But no, I haven't seen it. But I can tell you what I think from my observations only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know that you like this Hudson kid. Okay. It's hard not to. Right.
He's going to win in a walk. So, but go ahead. Tell me what you think.
No. So I think that it's unfortunate that Celebrini is with such a shit team. Because if he had a little more around him, he would have shown far better. That's my opinion. I mean, listen, the guy's got incredible talent, as did Hudson. And I'm not taking anything away from him. But you know what Hudson had is he's got a supporting cast and a very supportive coach, right? Whereas I don't know that that's the same scenario out west for Celebrini. That being said, I think you're right. I think it'll be Hudson, but it'll be Celebrini as a close second, and number 3rd, I still think is going to be Wolf.
Maybe. Yeah, him and Mitch Koff will split that vote probably in 3 and 4, and I'm not sure who will come in 3rd. But you're right. That's a good point because they'll only take 3 to the awards. So when the voting, which will be done, it's done the week after the regular season ends. We find out about it at the end of June. They'll announce the 3 finalists. So it'll be interesting to see who the 3rd finalist is. If Wolf has done enough to get ahead of Mitchkoff, who's kind of tailed off. He had kind of a sort of the mushy middle there of the Flyers schedule. He did very well. In fact, there were people championing him up there for the potential Calder as well. Hudson has had the whole year. Yeah. He's had the whole year. In fact, he's got better each month.
Well, he's
been Rookie of the Month twice.
Well, listen, he's a stud.
Yeah,
and he's going to be one of the. And I say this, maybe I'm premature, just like my picking of New York Rangers and any of my fucking investments, I always pick the losers. Okay, if you're actually going to hire me to invest in China, just take it right down. But I think that he is going to go down as probably one of the top 20 defensemen of all time.
Hudson?
Yeah.
Well, if you look where he is as a rookie,
certainly offensive defenseman.
He's tied for 6th right now with Krichelios for most points. They both had
in their rookie year.
Points in their rookie year. So there's only 5 guys ahead. Larry Murphy's at the top with 76, which is only 12 more points.
Right.
And there's a couple games to go. But interestingly enough, and I've written a lot about this, so I've studied this very extensively, although I knew most of it, but I really put it out there for people who don't follow the game like I do, so they have a better understanding of what it takes when you have an exceptional season as a defenseman, and yet you still don't win the Calder Trophy.
Yeah.
Why not? Who beat you out?
Right.
So in the case of Chris Chelios, he was a rookie in 84-85 with 64 points and didn't win the Calder Trophy. Well, he got beat by Mario Lemieux.
Yeah.
Okay, Mario Lemieux had 100 points, including over 40 goals. And by the way, Mario Lemieux played on the 20th overall team.
Right.
He had nobody around him.
Yeah.
Just like Celebrini, yet they still
Right.
found Mario Lemieux.
Yeah.
Additionally, to that Celebrini point, in the 2000s, so since 2000 to 2024, 12 Calder Trophy winners have finished out of the playoffs. Right. So it's really got no bearing.
Well, yeah, and the reason for that, though, is the fucking bullshit lottery.
Well, you're down. Typically, a lot of the Calder Trophy, typically, not all, are on.
They're high draft picks because they got to the shitty team.
The Montreal Canadiens had 76 points last year. We're not talking about a team that was knocking on the door to get in the postseason. They were 20 points out. The reason they are where they are this year largely is because of Lane Hudson. Hello? That's the reason.
Oh, I'm not denying
That's the reason. They got a better team because he's made them a better team. Because I've heard that as well. But the thing about not making the playoffs obviously doesn't fly. And Mary Lemieux is even the best example. And then in Larry Murphy's case, he had 76 points in 80-81. Oh my God, rookie defenseman, 76 points. Didn't win the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Dale Howardchuk did.
Yeah.
103 points. What are you going to do?
Well,
So Celebrini's got 24, 25 goals, and he's supposed to be a contender? Look at the guys who beat out the top defensemen. They had, like, when Steve Larmer beat out Phil Housley, he had 90 points with 43 goals. It dwarfing
By the way,
Celebrini.
Steve Larmer in the Hall of Fame?
No, and it's a joke.
Really?
Yeah.
He's not in the Hall of Fame.
He did everything Daniel Alfredson did. Everything. And more. And Alfie's in and Larmer's not. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Well,
Tell me one thing Alfie did that Larmer didn't.
Well, he was born Swedish.
Yeah.
It's part of our diversity, equity. And
that's that's all it is.
Right?
They have to.
No,
make sure,
listen,
that's a
I wanna
large
say,
part of the Hall of Fame is making
Alfredson,
sure that they're diverse. It started when they started putting in the women, and now you want to make sure you got your contingent of Europeans. No, this isn't Don Cherry. That's fine. Put the women in. I have no problem with it. But what's happened, and it's not affected how many guys go in. You can
I'm going to say something.
But the diversification of the Hall of Fame in terms of the Europeans too, like Daniel Alfredson, who's an outstanding player, Calder Trophy, King Clancy Award, won Stanley Cup final, gold medal, and 400 goals at 1,000 points. That's a Hall of Fame career. Like Steve Larmer did that plus.
The only difference is that I will say is that Alfredson became the franchise player. So it's the non-statistical impact that Alfredson had on this city, on the team, on the NHL, okay, that made him different from a Steve Larmer. Now I'll say that, we're talking about that era, okay, and beautiful.
Don't get me wrong, I love Alfie. He's a friend, and anytime I see him, we have a great conversation, and I got no problem with him going in.
Well, if you keep bringing up Steve Larmer, he's not going to be your friend very long.
Well, no, what does he care? He doesn't care. You're the one who asked if Larmer's not in, whether you knew or not.
Yeah, I didn't know.
It's ridiculous that he's not in.
I think he should be in.
You know what's even a bigger joke? Alexander McGillney. You want to talk about championing?
What, McGillney's not in?
McGillney's not in the Hall of Fame. It's beyond asinine. Let alone how I feel about Henderson. Let alone how Lauren Chabot has been screwed over for 80 years. Let alone Theo Fleury. He'll never get in.
What is this Hall of Fame? It's the NHL Hall of Fame.
No,
right?
it's not.
It's not. It's only.
It's the Hockey Hall of Fame.
So, but there's a Hockey Hall of Fame in the U.S. too, isn't there?
There's an American Hockey Hall of Fame.
So this is we're considering this the World Hockey Hall of Fame.
This is just simply called the Hockey Hall of Fame. Okay. You have the International Ice Hockey International Ice Hockey Federation Hall of Fame.
Okay.
You have the American Hall of Fame. In Kingston, Ontario, has the original International Hall of Fame,
Okay.
which is not something that continues on a yearly basis anyway. But it did originate.
Well, you know what? They lost all credibility when they put Gord Downie in there. It's like, fuck, okay, the guy can sing, but he's not a good skater.
Plus, he was a Bruin fan. I mean,
well, fuck.
Anyway.
I thought he was a Wheat Kings fan.
Yeah,
Sorry.
what a great song. Love that song.
Okay, so hey, listen, changing the
Larmer
subject.
should be in.
Changing the subject. Okay, I'm bringing this up. You may not like it or not. I've noticed that you have said a few things recently in your on your email, not emails. What do you call those things? In the Facebook. On Facebook and stuff, on your social media, yeah.
My social media,
yeah. The whole, hey, elbows up, everybody, elbows up, okay? So I have two questions, and I know that someone asked you, okay, what's the
I didn't
beginning of that?
Yeah.
No, but you've been saying it. You've been saying you've been ending. I saw you say elbows up.
No.
So here's the thing. What the fuck is that?
I knew.
What's elbows up?
I knew you'd misquote it.
Oh, okay. Well, why do you know I'd misquote it? Okay.
Because everybody does. That's what people do.
Okay.
People don't read. They don't understand. I was asked to provide a quote.
Oh yeah, no, I saw that. But most recently, you put another thing where you said elbows up as well, and that's why I was going to ask you. But so the question is the whole derivative of going. My understanding, and I didn't read or hear what you said to the New York Times or whoever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear that, but. If you're going to go in the corner, you keep those elbows up.
That's right.
Fuck is protecting
Exactly.
it, right?
Yeah.
That's all about.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm going to say something to Canadians because I've been walking around and I've been hearing people say, "Hey, elbows up, elbows up." It's like, you know what? No, you're a fucking idiot. Okay? Keep your fucking head up. Okay? That's the problem with Canadians. They got their fucking heads down, shoved far up their own ass. Okay? They got their elbows up, but they have no fucking clue what this country needs to survive. So, you know what? I don't care what you vote. But do your fucking research. If you don't do your research and your homework, okay, all you're doing is guessing. You're going into a test and guessing. Oh, I think I'll pick A because he's attractive. Or, oh, he speaks well. I'm going to pick A. Not what is this guy going to do, what needs to be done, all of these things, and what is this person's policy on that. Again, I'm not telling you who to vote for. What I'm saying is use your fucking head. Forget your elbows. Get your head out of your ass. Keep it up. And educate yourself and get out and vote. Because if you don't vote, you've got no say. And that's all I'm going to say. That's my political statement for the day.
Yeah, listen, we've all stated that for years. It's a commonality since we've all gotten old enough to watch the results and see the percentage of people who vote.
And don't vote.
And how many don't, however you want to phrase it. And it's obviously it's the worst at the municipal level. And as you go up, it incrementally gets better. But who knows? Maybe this election with new blood coming in, it'll foster more voting, and we'll get a better better representation. Whole elbows up thing. Obviously, I got brought into it through media because the Gordie Howe.
Right. Yeah. Historical reference.
So So that's my only thing with it. I'm not making any political statement, although some people have dragged me into it because of that. But I just say what you said. That's what I've told people. I have a couple guys online on the thread that want to go down political roads. I say, do it on your own page.
Yeah.
I got asked to offer a quote, what the reference is to Gordie Howe. That's all I did.
Right.
And, I got a picture with a T-shirt at the Prescott Hotel, and I'm wearing an elbows up T-shirt, so.
Yeah, well, see, there's the problem. That's the problem. You know what? First of all, did you get the square slice?
First of all, yes.
And a meatball? See, there are certain places that are, and for those of you who are tuning in from other places, because I get to see the stats, right? I look and where people are watching. I got people there are people watching from Edmonton, okay, and there's people watching from the UK, okay, Northern Ireland. I know people who see, and stuff like that. And there are two things that you need to know about Ottawa. The Prescott Hotel, is an absolute must go to. Okay, It's an absolute must. You got to have a pizza and you got to have a meatball sub there. I mean,
because the pizza comes in
squares, the square pizza,
and the meatball sub meal will last you 2 days.
Yeah, and I got to tell you the story. So what? I don't know. Maybe I'm 19, 20 years. I was still in university, so 19 maybe, whatever what it was, and I was working construction all summer long, and then in the wintertime they'd keep me on. Because I didn't have classes on Friday, and I would go around and I would clean up all the job sites on Friday, and they'd pay me like a ridiculous amount of money to do that, but it kept me in money for the year going to university.
Sure.
And I thank H.K. Phillips for that, by the way. It doesn't exist anymore, but Jimmy and Jack, you guys were great to me. Anyway, so the last Thursday before Christmas, everybody got a turkey, right? You get a turkey and everything like that. So anyways, so we go, and I got to go, you got to pick up your check on Thursdays back in those days, right? That was when you got paid. So the shop was on Pamela, right down the road, like literally right off, like right from the Prescott. So everybody right to the Prescott right after you get your paycheck, right?
Yeah.
So I don't remember much. All I do know is that it was December, right? My birthday time. I come home like 4 hours late. No cell phones back in these days, right?
Yeah.
Kristen has no idea. I walk in and she was fucking like people waiting for like 5 hours for a surprise birthday party for me.
Oh, no.
And I've got sauce on my shirt. I'd been working. I had sauce on my shirt, and I was full of just 3 sheets to the wind, everything like that. And so the Prescott was responsible for probably one of the largest fights in the history of our relationship.
Oh, no. Wow.
You know, but to be fair,
No.
I think the payphone was broken. You know
yeah,
what I mean? That was
go.
back in the day when you used to. What, really? There's no payphone? You couldn't have called?
They still have the old booths in there. They've taken the phones out. They left them in for a long time. Sadly, it's under new ownership, and some things have changed. You can't get a quart of X anymore. They moved from Molson's to Labatt's, which is fine, but you know they should have kept quarts X on, and it's a cash only, a card only facility.
Really?
Now. Yeah, you can't pay cash at the Prescott anymore. So.
You know what? I'm not going.
Yeah.
I don't go anywhere that doesn't accept cash, and you know why? Because it discriminates against people. It forces them to have a bank card or a credit card, which costs fees, and it makes the banks richer and the person poorer. And anybody, what if you just you fucking like busted your hump? You help somebody with their whatever you did, and they give you $5, and you go, Christ, I need a fucking slice.
Yeah.
Okay, or I need a pint, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can't get it because you don't have a credit card or a bank card where you're paying fees in every transaction and everything, and they got you by the balls. There's something to fucking lift your head up, get your elbows up, and say, fuck you. Forget this cash only bullshit.
Yeah.
Or credit card only bullshit.
Yeah.
And take back the world, because as soon as they control you like that, they control you. Mm-hmm. Right? Like they own. Yeah, they fucking froze bank accounts already, motherfuckers. Okay, you think they're not going to stop at you? Oh no, I wouldn't do anything wrong until they feel a different way than you. Keep your money in fucking cash. Stuff your fucking mattress, motherfuckers. Sorry. I probably shouldn't be trying to like win them over by calling them motherfuckers.
Well, you're taking pretty big pulls of that pint, and I think it's just rolling right through you.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so listen. That's it. We have nothing else to talk about. What we are going to do, though, is we're going to discuss, like, historically speaking.
Yeah.
Okay? We're going to discuss.
For our buddy.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
Yeah.
You're interrupting again.
Oh,
okay.
Jeez.
I was about to segue. Okay. So, on behalf of Shoeless Joe's.
Both locations.
Kempville and Orleans.
Yes.
Okay, I've never been to Orleans.
Well, I'm going to Kempville's tonight.
Yeah, are you?
Yeah,
okay.
We're going to Kempville's tonight to watch the end of the Masters, Wendy and I. And we'll be there, catch the last 4 or 5 holes of what should be a fabulous finish, more than likely.
Well, that's
so
the hope.
So we'll be at Shoeless Joe's tonight in Kempville. It's a little closer to home, but I've been to Orleans. I helped open it when it did open, as I mentioned before. And they do bring us this.
So, this day in hockey history.
That's right. Brought to you by Shoeless Joe's.
Hello, Canada.
Lafleur coming out rather gingerly. Back to Lafleur. Oh!
Shoots. He scores!
This week in hockey history. Shoeless Joe's.
Both locations.
Kempville and Orleans.
Yes.
Okay. Today is actually the Masters, April 13th.
Yeah.
Okay. So, tell me about this.
Yeah. Well, only got a couple things, Chris, but pretty cool from an Ottawa perspective.
Yeah, I understand. I see that.
Last time the Senators won the Stanley Cup was on a Wednesday, on April 13th, 1927, when they beat your Boston Bruins. Of course, you're a fan of both teams. But in 27, I don't know who you would cheer for.
Yeah,
but no Bobby Orr yet then.
No.
However, Ottawa beat Boston in the final in 1927. In those days, it was a best of 3.
Yeah.
And if you played a game that was tied at the end of regulation, you would play one overtime period. And if it was tied still at the end of that overtime period, that game was
done,
null and void.
Right, and then you played a new game.
Then you went to a new game.
Right.
So that's why the series ended up going 4 games. And because Ottawa won, tied, won. And won the last one, which was on this date, April 13th. And the other interesting thing from a historical point of view, something near and dear to my heart, is the brawl at the end of that game.
There was a brawl?
There was the brawl.
The brawl.
The brawl of all brawls.
Okay.
Happened at the conclusion of this game on this night, 1927, on April 13th, on a Wednesday. And a player got suspended for life from the Boston Bruins named Billy Coutu.
You know what? I know the story of him.
I think I've shared it on the air
maybe,
before. And Coutu was his last name. He had previously been in the NHL with the Montreal Canadiens. And his granddaughter is a member at Rideau.
That's right.
I
remember. Yeah, that's
Janet,
right.
His husband just passed away, but fantastic people. Anyway, Billy was a psycho. And on that team was Eddie Shore, Sprague Leghorn, Lionel Hitchman, Billy Coutu. But folks, you got no idea how violent. Every decade you go back, it was that much more violent. And that series in particular, this is back in the 2-referee system.
Okay.
No 3 referees. So the refs
kind of like Thursday Night Hockey in Manatee.
Exactly, same thing, no different. Billy Bell and LaFlamme. I want to say Jerry. Anyway, LaFlamme and Bell. One was a doctor. Just they moonlight. That's the way it was in the 20s. They were just refereeing the game. And Coutu went nuts after brawling all of Ottawa. He turned his attention to the officials, and he beat the shit out of one of them on the ice, and he chased the other one off the ice and hammered him in front of the dressing room, in front of the league president, Frank Calder, who the Calder Trophy is named after. So,
well, is that true? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the Calder Trophy is named after
his son, wasn't it?
No, that's the Hart.
Oh, the Hart.
Yeah, that's the Hart. Don't get me going. It's another show.
Listen. If you asked me, it should be called the Gordie Howe Trophy. But anyways, I'm moving on. It's just my idea. Okay, it's you probably don't agree, but it's just my idea.
Have another beer, please. Oh, this guy. I'll tell you. Anyway, April 13th, 1927, Sens win the last Stanley Cup, dramatic fashion, 3 goals. Cy Dennedy got the second and the third. He got the winner. They championed it here for years, saying Frank Finnegan got the actual cup winner. He did score in that game. He scored the first goal. I met Frank. I worked with him. God rest his soul. His number 8 is retired by the current Ottawa Senators. And he came down to Florida in 1990 when they got the team. Prince of a man, beautiful man from Shawville, Quebec. Just a beauty. And the only other thing, Chris, is the first defenseman, because we always talk a lot about defensemen, and the first defenseman to have a 20-goal season. It's his birthday today. Bill Hollett. He's from North Sydney, Caper.
Cape Breton.
In Nova Scotia. I never got to meet him, but I met guys who knew him, and he had 20 goals. First defenseman to do so in the NHL for the Detroit Red Wings after having an outstanding career with the Boston Bruins.
Right.
He's a Stanley Cup winner in 39 and 41. He previously played... he had a cup of coffee for the Leafs and the Senators before going an extended stay with the Bruins. Got traded to Detroit for Pat Boxcar Egan, and then had the 20-goal season the next year in 44-45, I believe it was. So it's his birthday today. Thought we'd give him a shout-out.
Yeah.
He'd be 114, and in the Sens' last Stanley Cup.
Wow,
so there you go.
So that was, how many years is the Sens' last Stanley Cup? That'd be 98 years.
Yeah.
It's almost as long as it fucking's taken the Leafs to win.
Just about.
But we were shut down for a lot of years, too.
Ottawa was out for 59 years.
Yeah, so...
I would not want to play the Sens in the first round, man. Holy cow. They're doing this. Brady hasn't played 6-7 games.
I know. Well, he's resting.
For sure he is.
We
all know that.
They say he's not injured.
Well, look at the Panther lineup.
Yeah.
They're dressing. Yeah. They're sitting out 6 guys. It's unbelievable. Cale Makar didn't play the other night. Ovi didn't play the other night. go down the line. Vegas again, usual.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Vegas. You know, and I'm surprised that Stone is even in the lineup.
I know. It's
Like, you know, it's like, you know, Stone this is all new territory. Hey, Mark, this is what most people do, right? Is they play to the end, and then they start in the playoffs. I get, I'm on the mailing list for all the, updates stuff for Vegas, right?
Okay.
Because I was following them for a while because I'd been it was the most electric game I've been. I told you. I saw
you did.
The
You were there with,
the playoff
with
games.
Evan, right?
With Evan. Evan and we went to see the Canadians play in the playoffs when they were there.
In 2021?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And it was unbelievable. Like most of the people at the game didn't understand hockey at all. The guy behind us was explaining what an offside was to the other guy, and he was wrong, right? You know, he was using soccer as you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, anyways, whatever. We were just sitting there. But very, very pumped. They just pumped the energy into that room.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it.
And I'll tell you, a lot of fun to watch. And so, anyways, I follow it, and I Mark Stone, as you know, I was expecting him to maybe, if it wasn't going to be in a game, maybe he'd trip on a step somewhere and have to sit out a few games.
Well, the start of the season, game 2 or 3 or something, he had. I think he left the game early. You know, whatever. It wasn't anything too serious. But Twitter, there must have been about 50 tweets. Vegas declare Mark Stone out for the rest of the season, but expect him ready for game 1 of the playoffs. Fuck, it was funny. Yeah. I must have laughed for 5 minutes because it was that's what they've been doing, right? So
exactly.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, here's
guy's got a lacerated stomach, ulcer, torn insides, everything else. Oh, he's ready for game 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's. I mean, he's no Kucherov, right?
No,
that was the first, right?
That's pretty.
That was the
first
one, and that's
first one that was deliberate. I think.
Yeah,
that deliberately sat the guy out. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, this is the end.
Yeah.
This is the end of our show.
I'm out.
Okay. Well, thanks for watching. This has been Offside with Hawes and Maguire. I'm Hawes.
I'm Maguire. G'day.